Hey everybody, welcome back to some more Monster Hunter Rise. On this one, we're just cleaning up some of these big quests that I had still left in the 7-star rank. So we're going to jump into this one, kill ourselves a Ghost Ring and a Tetrinodon, and continue talking about Monster Hunter World and how it stacks up with Monster Hunter Rise, since obviously I think that's the thing that we want to see comparisons on here. But what do I want to have? I want physique? Yeah, definitely. There we go. I knew I was forgetting something before that last one, but I was too busy talking to think about it, so I couldn't do that. But when we last left off in this conversation, I was talking about how I feel like the narrative build-up in Monster Hunter World was a lot better, and you don't need to have like in-depth cutscenes and stuff like that to do the same thing here. Obviously, they knew that with Rise being a Switch-first game, that they were going to have to, you know, make some sacrifices here and there. You weren't going to necessarily just be able to do a very similar scale and scope. You're going to have a limited number of characters. You're not going to be able to do,
that'll do.
What, like really intricate cutscenes and stuff and have really high production value. But because of that, you could have been more intimate with the characters and how they grow. So in this game, what character had any amount of growth other than us literally gaining rank? I can't think of any. Like, all of the characters at the end of the game, or at least the point I'm at in the game right now, seem to have all the same characteristics as they did at the start. The two twins know that they can channel and communicate with monsters, yet that doesn't seem to really affect them at all. They still seem to be just as energetic as ever. Everything else, like any of their emotions and worries and stuff, seems incongruent.
Excuse me.
Like, whenever I went to do that fight with Ibushi and Narwa, they were like, oh, she's been so worried she hasn't eaten. Like, okay, well, you know, I've been in dangerous situations before outside of that, before I had the equipment I had now. Why didn't you, like, play that up before? Or whenever she wasn't feeling that good, post the Magnamalo fight, they said that she wasn't feeling good, and that's why I wasn't getting village quests. But you could have done some other stuff with that. I feel like they could have fleshed it out more. Oh. Like, if I were to take control of the narrative design of Monster Hunter Rise, I would have had Hinoa and Minoto have those little, like, interactions with smaller beasts before the Ibushi and Narwhal one. And then that way people could assume, oh, they're, like, telepathically linked with all monsters. But then find out it was actually Ibushi and Narwhal all along, and it wasn't the other monsters. Because you kind of did, I mean, not to, like, do exactly what I was complaining about before of them recycling some stuff from World. But there was like that part of World where you're trying to explain where all of these events are coming from, and you're trying to triangulate them and all of that stuff, and you had to find the pieces. But well, actually that kind of works a lot better than this game, because this game you only get the narrative specifically when you reach those urgent quests, and anything that's not an urgent quest isn't really story critical. Whereas with the other ones, you could do these investigations, and you would do the investigations over the course of multiple hunts, and I think it helped to build and flesh out the world, because stuff was still going on outside of urgent quests. You still did things that were meaningful to your overall progression in the story, outside of the specific story missions. And I know I've basically said the same thing like 3 times now, but this game kind of lacks that. You don't, when you're not on an urgent quest, you know that nothing story critical is going to happen. It's only going to happen when you hit a certain rank, and then you'll get a little... Oh, I didn't know that the fishies left the map like that. Interesting. So yeah, I would work on tying in the narrative into a lot of the lesser missions in this, in order to make the world feel more connected. Make the monsters feel more a part of a living world, because that's kind of what you're supposed to go with in Monster Hunter, I feel like. That's at least what draws me into it. That's just the narrative. Like, I could spend all day talking about the story and how I feel like it could have been better, but then we could also talk about the gameplay, in that think about how much environmental usage you could get out of the things in World compared to Rise. Like in World, I felt like there were so many more things that were destructible that affected the map. Oh. Like, I think I brought this up before, but the trees, having enemies knock over trees and then get caught in the branches, I really like that. There's like a lot more that you could do with trying to bait monsters into stuff. And in this one, there's just not as much. There's a couple of guys that do like rush down strategies, and you can kind of get them to rush into a wall, but that's about it. So if they don't have like a rush down move, you aren't going to see that. Unless, of course, there's just things I'm missing, which is always possible. There could be a lot of stuff like that that I just haven't seen. But thinking about World, like you could drop boulders down on stuff, you could use the claw shot to knock down things that were hanging up. Using the various like scatter shots and things, it was easier to get concussions and stuns. I just felt like there was better interactions in that game. This one, you got the Palamute to ride on, which is pretty cool, but I also feel like they kind of dropped the ball on it. Because while the movement's really nice, and obviously it builds off of what they did with the, whatever they call them, the something riders. Oh, what do they call them? Oh.
Needs more polish.
In World, anytime you could ride on a monster, they had a specific word for it, but you could use that. And they obviously made it better because you have it permanently with you. You don't like call them over and then have to wait for them to arrive and then jump on them, etc., etc. Having a Palamute with you with its own skills and all of that stuff is definitely an improvement. But I also feel like they could have worked on it to make it even better. Like have more mounted combat or skills for being mounted on your Palamute and doing things, you know? I just feel like there was a lot of potential here. I guess that's my biggest gripe, is that all the things they did seem okay, but they could have been so much better. And it wouldn't have taken a whole lot to make it so. Like, I don't need to have, like, a custom weapon attack loadout for each weapon on dog mount, but being able to better control the dog's abilities while you're on it, and not just have a generic 3-hit combo with it would have been cool. Oh, no. The Palamutes have pretty much stayed the same. I know that they have made them a little bit better with how you can customize them, and they have specific roles they can hold instead of just the equipment. So that's pretty much a better overall system. So they did that well. The buddy system in general is pretty good. Buddies having their own ranks and being able to level them up and send them out on the Meowth and everything, all of that seems like a logical progression. So I'll give them their due there. They definitely did a good job with that. The wire bug stuff, of course, is nice. I'm not going to complain about that. It's a good system. I like that you can't abuse it too much. while at the same time it feels useful to have. If I could improve it, what would I do? Obviously, everyone would like to have, like, more silk-bind attacks. I mean, the freedom of movement's really nice. I like the stamina to climb up walls. Obviously, since Breath of the Wild did it, everybody else did it, and it's continued to be a really good mode of giving players freedom to climb on things and get around. So you can't really complain about that. Frog box, yeah. You're right. I forgot about that. I would really like to be able to hold on to the endemic life I pick up in a hunt. I feel like narratively there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to carry frogs with me back to camp. If we can capture these giant fucking monsters to bring them back home to you know, take them apart, completely grind them up and use their pieces, I should be able to bring a fucking frog with me back home. Now, maybe I can't bring like 5 of them with me on the next quest or something, like maybe limited to 1, but oh. So, you know, it doesn't have to be that strong. But being able to bring them with me would be great. The pedalesses I think could be better. Instead of having like 100 fucking little birds that you have to pick up all over the place, maybe have less of them and give more effect per. Because I really don't enjoy having to spend the first 5 minutes of every mission running around. It almost defeats the whole purpose of having like... Nope. It almost defeats the whole purpose of having quicker kills if you also have to spend a lot of time going after these little upgrades. Like, okay, so the fights now only take 10 to 15 minutes, but you also have to spend 5 minutes gathering stuff, so it's still a 20-minute fight. Maybe that's not as bad as like a 30-minute Monster Hunter World fight, but we're still talking about like excessive time wasting here. Yeah, there's ways we can improve the pedalist system for sure, without getting rid of it, because I still like the idea of having something that gets more powerful the more you walk around the map. But, or as the fight goes on longer, it gives you kind of a snowball mechanic. I guess, if I were to improve on that, maybe instead of having the improvement come from the spirit birds, it comes from the parts that break off of a monster. And then that way, as you break parts, you get stronger, and then the snowball effect of them getting weaker from losing parts combines with the pedalist getting more powerful. And I can see that being a good way of handling it. It could also be pretty bad, because at least with this, if you do spend the time in the first 5 minutes of building it up, you can get significantly more powerful before the fight. Oh no. But yeah, I feel like World was just more polished. I don't think any of the ideas in this game are necessarily bad outright. It just feels like they didn't give themselves enough time to really test them and make sure they worked well in the Monster Hunter format. And then also had to make sacrifices, like I've already bitched about 1,000,000 times with the you know, Raytheon still poison spiking me even though I broke off their tail. I hate that shit. That's like the most anti-Monster Hunter thing I've seen yet. It really disappoints me that that's that's the decision they went with on how to handle that. Oh, look, he's sleeping next to the turtle. Oh, hey, Russian box. For your information, Vin. Okay.
Needs more polish.
VYNFYI. We all now know. We've learned. We've moved on. Let's do this before. Oh. I lost my red essence before I could start it.
I'll show you no mercy.
385 is not bad. Alright, you're gonna laser me.
Wonderful work, my
And
friend.
then sideways. Oh, come back here. Alright, step in this. So, ooh, did I lose connection? Looks like my whole screen blinked for a second there. I've never noticed that his animation gets kind of stuck in the ground part way when he's in the track. But I guess outside of the problems that I have with Res, we can talk about the good things, which is this fight in particular is pretty fun. The Ghost Harangue with its giant ice scythe thing is pretty neat. I love it. It goes from being this like quadruped that often fights with like barreling you down and being a brute to being something a little bit more dynamic between the ice scythes and the hammer. The Almadroth, I like the Almadroth.
I think you've had enough.
Just lost at 2720. Oh no.
Are you ready?
Against what? What were you fighting? Oh, I should have rolled away. Oh, Vampire Survivors, right. I was getting you and Run-On mixed up. 2720. No. Only 2.5 minutes from the win. Is that the farthest you've gotten, or have you already gotten victories on it? What? Was that your same skeleton guy run? It was like Mordekaiser or something? You've gotten victories, okay. That would have been particularly harsh. Getting all the way to 2720 and failing there. Ooh. Skeleton and double duplicator. Nice. Five extra projectiles, yeah, it's nice. Especially when you have a whole bunch of projectile stuff, which, you know, if you're playing the skeleton, you're already planning on having projectiles, but like, the Bible, the axes, what else would I like with that? Daggers you don't notice as much, but it is pretty good to have the daggers with extra projectiles. Oh, Rune Tracer, Blood Whip. Oh yeah, the Blood Whip is awesome with that. And Hellfire. I don't care for the Hellfire that much just because the shots are random, so it's hard to really plan around whenever you need to survive. But yeah, it's pretty helpful. It is a lot of damage. Oh, I expected him to go right back into making more sides instead of attacking. I really like Rune Tracer too. Again, it's kind of hard to like intentionally use it because it randomly fires, but it's got so much damage. Usually it's like my highest earner by the end of most fights, or most runs, I guess. Oh, I thought he was running away. I was gonna start clawing that. Man, you know what? We might play some Vampire Survivors after this. I know the frame rate dips a whole lot, but now you got me. I got the itch again. I got the itch and I gotta... There's only one cure. It's not more cowbell, but...
Some humans could learn from you.
We could do a... Oh, are you playing on the open beta side of things? And play all the beta characters? Put in some new music and stuff? It's pretty good. Oh. That's gonna hurt. Yep. Can't wait for the weapons. Oh yeah, upgraded Rune Tracer will probably be nice. I want to see what they do with it. I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the garlic upgrade. I don't feel like it's that good. I know you're not? Okay. Well, I think it's pretty good. If you're interested in doing it and you've never done betas on Steam before, just right-click the game, go to Properties, and put yourself into the open beta side of things. And you'll get access to some more content. There's a whole bunch of new characters on there. There is one new level, but honestly, it's basically just the forest, but with enemies from both the library and the forest in it. So it's the forest tile set, but with library and forest enemies in it. They did add obstacles in the forest, so there's some things that you'll bump into. Other than that, it's pretty much nothing too big. There's not as many bosses on it, I think. I could be wrong there, but I just felt like while I was playing out the new map, I didn't run into that many bosses. But the new characters are cool. There's one that starts out with like extra speed and duration, but lower movement speed, and starts with the Bible, and he's pretty fun. The extra duration makes it so that the Bible stays out pretty much permanently from the get-go.
Thanks for the support.
All you need is to add just a couple more ranks of Spellbinder or Tome onto it, and then yeah, it stays out permanently. The Magic Rod upgrade just being no fire delay seems lazy. I feel like more penetration, making them track, or giving you a long lifespan instead of getting a storm around you. Yeah, I agree. I know Carragher agrees too, because he also told me that he doesn't like the magic wand because it doesn't pierce. And basically, in that like last 1 to 2 minute time period at the end of a run, it's essentially worthless for anything going on there because it doesn't have pierce. I think if it had like really big knockback on it, it would help with that, because at least then the knockback would push back enemies even if it doesn't pierce through them for damage. But yeah, it needs something more than just cooldown reduction. Or if, you know, the cooldown was super short, but then I think it would just occupy the same space as the knives and just... It pierced a little, it just feels like an auto-aiming knife. Yeah, exactly. Basically what I was getting to is, just by having it cooldown reduced, you're basically doing a whole nother knife build. And we already have knife. We don't need two knives. We have knife.
It's all over for you.
I could change it, what would I do? I wouldn't say bouncing, because we already have the bone for bouncing and the rune tracer for bouncing. The projectile getting bigger would be more of an axe thing. Let's see, if the wand is supposed to be all about cooldown, because it matches with the tome, so since that's what they're going for, what it could do is have like, also, I was gonna say maybe also have like criticals, because criticals also work with like rapid fire things a lot. Upgrade bone, fracturing on hit, yeah. Any kind of upgrade to the bone would be nice, just so it has something. But yeah, if we're talking about lazy stuff, trying to avoid the lazy. I don't know exactly what I would do with the tome. Because I feel like the knives have automatically already occupied the same spot since they're all about the no cooldown, you just constantly throw knives. I think they accidentally made two things that do the same thing, and it kind of makes both of them seem less unique because of it.
Some humans could learn from you.
Ooh. I guess what could happen is that maybe the tome at max level can produce a slightly different projectile that it has on infinite cast. Like maybe when it shoots out a bifurcated shot so that it hits in multiple areas at once. I mean, that's still kind of the same thing, but it'd be something different.
I'll help myself, thank you.
Let's carve up this butt. I just want projectiles to pierce like 100 enemies, stay alive for 10 to 20 seconds, and have them track. You know what? The homing. You're right. The homing would be pretty good for that. Have the cooldown reduction and have homing, and then that at least separates it out from knives enough that it gives it its own identity. I think the only problem with the homing is that whenever you get up to like the 20-minute mark or higher, the homing just won't matter. Because you could shoot in any direction and it'll work. Yeah, thinking about it, homing doesn't really matter because as long as you're making it to the end of the game, the last like 10 minutes of the game, it doesn't matter where you're shooting, you're hitting things. Well, that seemed pretty successful. That's another one in the books there. Basically just gonna 100% clear all of the quests in the game in order to reach Hunter rank 100. That's my plan. So with that one down, I think that means this is the end of the episode. So if you enjoyed what you saw, then give the video a like. If you want to see more of this in the future, subscribe. And if you have any tips or tricks for me, leave them in the comments down below. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of those around you. Bye-bye.